Hey guys, it's Becca. Welcome back to my channel. Recently, I had somebody ask me how we are able to afford to go on our Disney vacations. And this will actually be our third trip within the past 8 months, which is not the norm for us. We typically go once a year. We lately have bumped it up to twice a year. So there's a few things that we do in our everyday that allow us to be able to financially go to Disney World, and I'm gonna share what those things are. Before we get into it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy Disney planning content, and make sure that you are subscribed if you are not already. And let's get started. The first few items are actually pretty basic and things that I have talked a lot about on my channel. So I have kind of lumped these things into one, and it's just budgeting for your trip. That's kind of our first thing that we do. So there's three main things that we do when it comes to budgeting. And that is that we always rent DVC points if we want to stay at a deluxe resort. And I will link my playlist on renting DVC points if you want some more info on what that is, how to do it, how much do you actually save by renting DVC points. If we are not going to be renting points, then we will most likely be at a value resort, or we'll just stay off property if we're traveling with a bunch of family and we need the extra space. So that is really how we're able to afford our accommodations. The next thing we do is skip the park hopper. And I know this is something that gets talked about a ton, but it is a way that we have saved money on our tickets. And we have talked about buying annual passes, so I'm sure that'll happen soon. But until then, we always skip the park hopper, and it allows us to save a little bit of money on our tickets. The next thing we do when budgeting for our trip is utilize our credit card points to pay for Sky Miles on our flights. So ultimately, our transportation to Orlando is always free. We use a Capital One Venture card, and we simply put all of our everyday expenses on that card, and then over the course of a few months, we have accrued enough points to pay for 2 round-trip flights to Orlando, and then maybe some extra left over for our next trip. So that is pretty much how we're able to afford our transportation, and we've really just utilized the credit card system and really making wise decisions with a credit card. So moving on to a couple other things that we do to afford our trips that are a little more personalized to us. Outside of the budgeting for your trip, outside of the planning aspect, there's a couple things we do in our everyday that allows us to afford these trips. The first one being, we don't take other vacations outside of Disney. We used to take about 3 or 4 little weekend trips throughout the whole year, and we have our favorite beach spot. It's about a 6-hour drive. We love it. We love just going down for 2 or 3 days a few times a year. But at the end of the year, when we added up how much we were spending on those weekend trips to the beach, it ended up costing about the same as a Disney trip. So we had to ask ourselves, is it worth it? We could give up these 4 weekend beach trips and do another Disney trip for the year. And that was one thing that we decided to cut out. And it was really sad because I love the beach. I love our little weekend getaways. It's such a nice little refresher every few months to be able to get a couple days to just go to the beach. But it just wasn't as important to us as it was to go to Disney. The next thing we do is we have, for the most part, cut out all unnecessary luxuries. And by luxuries, I mean eating out, shopping, movies, concerts, just your fun weekend activities. We don't do them for the most part. Every once in a while, we'll totally go see a movie, we'll totally go out to eat. But in the past, we were going out to eat 2 or 3 times a week, and we realized that was eating up our budget, and it was something that we had to cut out and start eating at home more. Another thing was shopping, especially with makeup and clothes. that was something that I had to cut out, because even if it was just, oh, well, it's just $20 here or $30 here, it didn't seem like that much in the moment. But at the end of the month, I've spent $100 on makeup, and that wasn't fun to realize that I was spending that much on makeup each month. So I had to get smarter with my makeup purchases. Well, really eliminating makeup purchases, again, for the most part. Every now and then I'll splurge and get a little something, but nothing like it was. So we have pretty much gone from eating out 2 to 3 times a week to eating out 2 to 3 times per month. And that has seemed to hit a pretty good rhythm with our budget, and all of the money that we were spending on eating out in the past goes towards our Disney trips now. So I just had to switch my mindset with it. When we go out to eat and I spend $50, say, and realizing that that $50 could go towards a meal at Disney, it totally changed the way I looked at our money. And I realized, man, if we could just cut this out, that would be, I mean, after a few months, there's our Disney food budget right there. If we just cut out eating out a couple times a week. So that was a really simple change for us. And it was hard at first because we love trying out all the new trendy restaurants in Nashville. But once we got used to it, I actually really enjoy eating at home now, and I love cooking. It's been so much fun trying out new recipes, and it's allowed us on a whole nother note to be more healthy. So it's been a huge benefit on several different levels, and that is just one really practical thing that we've been able to do that helps us afford our Disney trips. And the last thing we do that allows us to afford our Disney trips is we have simply made it a priority. And it's interesting because when you look in your bank account, you see pretty clearly what's priority in your life, whether it is eating out, movies, shopping, different subscriptions, monthly subscriptions and things like that. It's pretty easy to see what your priority is. And for us, we have simply made Disney a priority, and everything else has come second to that. And some people may think that that is absurd. Why would that be priority in your life? But if you love Disney as much as us, you totally get it. And that's probably why you're watching this video. Another thing that's been really important for us when it comes to making Disney priority is that, yes, of course, our bills and gas and groceries and things like that come before Disney. And then even before that comes the money that we tithe and give at our local church. So that is always the first place our money goes, then our bills and everyday expenditures, and then Disney. The money that we are giving to our local church is far exceeding the money that we give to Disney World. And we always want to make sure that Disney has its place and that our relationship with the Lord comes first. And I never want our money to be dictated by Disney World, because that just, it's like, man, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, we always want to make sure that our finances are where they need to be in the appropriate place. And Disney is definitely, I would say, third on our priority list. First being the money that we're giving back to the Lord, and then our bills and everyday expenses, and then Disney. We are always keeping our finances in line with what the Bible teaches, and that is how we are able to afford our Disney trips. So I hope this was helpful, just hearing from your average person how they afford to go to Disney as much as we do. And again, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy Disney planning related content, and leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Make sure that you are subscribed and hit that bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. And that is it for today. So I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.